shut up, you have no ass, because why are kids so mean? Oh my God. Someone labeled me as overweight. I unknowingly did keto without knowing it was keto. It went, but, oh, let me stop here. Things are going to get scary beyond here. I had to fight somebody. And then I had my first health scare. Don't look at me that way, okay? Don't judge me. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to keep you in the hospital. And I'm like, what? It was the scariest decision of my whole entire life. I don't want to be here. If you have ever seen one of my TikToks, my Instagram posts, or maybe you're new here because I'm new here too, I wanted to take this moment to create a space where I can share with you the story of how I came to be Koach Krish, how I came to be that person that speaks on stages about health, fat loss, weight loss, building muscle, but overall just becoming a very healthy woman. Because we've been through some things. And through those experiences, I've been able to bring them through my journey as a coach, through my journey as a woman. And so I'm hoping that as I tell this story about me, you also see yourself in there as well too. It's also going to prepare you for what this channel is about to be, okay? Because there's a lot that I'm going to be sharing with you here that's going to be the unfiltered, not as much edited, like trying to pack all this information into a 40-second video. So where do we start? I think that would be a great opportunity to start from high school, because I know a lot of us look back on high school and we're like, girl, you were okay. Why did you feel that way about your body? So I was always athletic. Where I felt the most powerful was volleyball. Now I got into an accident, which had me feeling like I was going to be in pain for the rest of my life. I got severely bad whiplash from being T-boned and I was on the passenger seat, and I would have migraines. My back would start hurting and then my shoulder would come together and then I start getting headaches altogether. So it was like a full body pain, and I was dealing with that like almost every single day. People would tell me like, Krishna, stop thinking you're gonna be in pain for the rest of your life. And I'm like, do you know how this feels?
You don't know me! You don't know!
I was not one of the cool, popular kids. I was like around everybody, but I was very quiet and I got bullied a lot. Like I remember this one guy that would always scream, shut up, you have no ass, because why are kids so mean? Oh my God. So I always had that thought that I wanted to look like someone else. And volleyball was that place for me that felt like I could disconnect, that I was powerful, because I was great at volleyball. Still am till this day. If you have a summer team and you need somebody to join, please let me know. I will always say, yes, I'm in. But anyways, after being kicked off the team, I lost that sense of power. After high school, I decided that I wanted to join the gym. Okay. And so the first day I go in, I don't know if you went to the gym, if you had the same experience. When you go to the gym, they do this assessment and then they look at your BMI. And you know what they told me? They told me that I was overweight. Okay. If you look at a photo of what I looked like at that moment, you'd be like, Krish, stop. But someone labeled me as overweight. So that's what I immediately thought. And you'd think that would motivate me to go to the gym and say, yeah, I'm ready. Let's get off this weight. No, it depressed me. I internalized it and I was just like, wow, I am overweight. It's probably because I got kicked off the volleyball team. And for a full year, I didn't step one foot at that gym. But one of my friends at that time did. I saw her getting results and she was using my membership. And I'm like, you know what? I need to do something. And then I came across this health and wellness company, an MLM company. So I saw this weight loss program that was endorsed by these celebrities, and I saw all these people getting results. They're like, yeah, I did this. And I'm like, I have to do it, you know, because if somebody else is doing it and they're getting results, I should probably do that thing too, right? I think we've all gone through that in some aspect of our life, at least once. And so I did it. I unknowingly did keto without knowing it was keto. So for example, one of the meals that were on there was a slice of mozzarella, a slice of tomato, like 3 pieces of spinach. It was very specific. I remember this. This has been like 7 years ago. I remember this to a T. Do you see what this type of diet, this type of system instilled in me, that I was able to memorize it till this day? And also because it was slightly traumatizing now that I look back on it. But anyways, slice of mozzarella, slice of tomato, 3 pieces of spinach, sprinkle some salt and pepper on that. Do that 3 times, and that was a meal. Not gonna lie to you, it did taste good. Sounds like a snack though, right? Sounds like a very snack, but that was a whole meal. And to put the cherry on top, I'm lactose. I'm a lactose intolerant. That did not make any sense to me. So yes, our relationship with food tanked. It went But the one thing that it did do for me was that it got me into the gym. It got me actually moving my body. And then I started realizing, wait, I'm not in as much pain as I normally was before. That's when I started realizing that that reality of me having back pain forever wasn't always the thought for me anymore. I started realizing, hey, I could get stronger. And so the gym era started. And keep in mind, it wasn't like a straight line as I started working out and then everything was beautiful and amazing. We were definitely doing things that made our pain a little bit worse, but I started realizing that that worse kind of can make things better as I went through the whole trial and error. I was definitely doing things that I should not have been doing on my own, but sometimes you kind of have to do that to learn, because if you can't hear, you must feel. So yes, I started working out, which was amazing. Keep in mind, I was scared to get bulky because I naturally have a bigger upper body and a smaller lower body. I had my treadmill era. I was doing dead mills. I did this thing called absanity. I almost like threw up. I remember being so lightheaded that I was like walking, everything was black, everything was moving, and I'm like slowly trying to make my way to the girls' change room, and I was on the ground, hand on the chair, like trying to get myself to throw up, but I couldn't throw up, and I was so lightheaded. It felt like an hour, but it was a full like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of that feeling feels like forever. So I was doing the most. I even got to a stage, I get it because a lot of women are scared like you'll get bulky. I did actually get to that stage a little bit. And the reason being is, again, natural upper body. So I started working up my upper body. Doesn't mean that as soon as you start lifting weights, it's going to make you that way. I was lifting some heavy shit. I was even doing some twists, some Romanian twists, Russian twists. I was doing Russian twists. I got up to like 30, 40 pounds with being able to do that. You have to be so intentional to be able to see that difference in your body. And I know a lot of you are picking up 10, 15 pounds and you're like, oh, let me stop here. Things are going to get scary beyond here. No, please. It'll take a lot of time, a lot of intensity, and a lot of intention. So the reason why I started seeing that is because, for one, I did not know how to work out properly. I was working out my legs, my butt wasn't getting any bigger, which was a specific place that I wanted to see growth in, but my quads were getting bigger. So like my upper body was getting bigger, my quads were getting bigger, and then my butt was like staying the same, because there is a difference between working out and then actually engaging the proper muscles. And also how to tie in those workouts as well too, like how to fully structure it, which is not in this video. It's going to be in another video that you'll end up seeing as well too. Like, I don't know how YouTube works. I'll plug it somewhere here in the things when it's ready. I don't know how YouTube works. Anyways, so I went through that era. I went through the cardio era. I went through all of that, but my body still changed. I still started getting more confident. So yeah, you could be doing things on your own and you're not seeing everything, but there are still aspects of progress that you're seeing because you're doing something different. So you should, of course, be getting a different result. So my body did start changing in a positive way. I started feeling like, ooh, okay, let me keep doing more of this gym thing. I'm feeling more powerful. I'm feeling that sense of power that I had when I was playing volleyball in high school. And so people started reaching out saying, hey, you should train me. And I'm like, no, I'm breaking my body. I'm not trying to break yours. And then one after another kept on reaching out like, oh my gosh, Krishna, like you're doing amazing. Like, do you have a program? And I'm like, no. And then I continued to listen over and over again as people continued to attack me. And I was like, maybe I should do something with this. And so I decided I'm going to learn, because again, I knew what I was doing was a whole bunch of trial and error. Mentally, I can deal with me, but having to deal with somebody else and not feeling confident enough that I know exactly what I'm doing, that was not an equation that made any sort of sense for me. So I decided, hey, let's go to school. So I decided to go to school for exercise science. At that time, I was also working full time. And then I started taking on just a couple people, like low key. I didn't tell anybody. I only told a couple people that reached out to me before. And I said, I'm just starting out and I would love to apply my experience as well as what I'm learning through school right now. Would you be open to that? And I'll do it for a very small fee of $11 an hour. And they're like, absolutely. And I was like, thank you. Cool. A couple of them were definitely free. And I think I eventually said, hey, do you guys want to start paying me? And they're like, all right. So that started going very well. Like I enjoyed it. And as I'm learning, I was able to apply it immediately, because before I knew, like, of course you're doing a bicep curl. That means you're working your arm. But then I learned in school that you're focusing on your elbow joint, and your elbow joint is responsible for extension and flexion. So then when I started doing a bicep curl, I'm just like, okay, just focus on my elbow. And I realized there's a different type of connection that you make when you know the mechanics of your body and which parts you should be focusing on. Because before it was just arms. Now it's elbow flexion, elbow extension. See, this stuff became really cool for me. I don't know if that was really cool for you, but that was really cool to me. And so I started getting more excited about it. I started, of course, applying that more to me, applying that more to my clients. And then eventually I even started becoming an amateur boxer. Mainly because I had a crush on this guy, and I thought signing up for a boxing club would make sense, even though you're sweaty all the time. And I didn't even know that I was signing up for a fight club. I had to fight somebody. But anyways, everything was going great. And then I had my first health scare. Whew, I thought I was in the best health of my life. I was getting ready for the big event. I was about to fight somebody at this big rink. Everybody was going to cheer for me when I got the big W and they put my hand up and I was like, yeah, I was ready for it. I was actually scared, but I was like, I got this. And then I went on a trip to Bali, got into a scooter accident the first day. And let's just say, long story short, I survived. That's going to be another story for another time. So when I got back and I recovered from that scooter accident, I worked out. I didn't do anything crazy, but with all the past events coming together, that crazy was crazy enough for my body. So I woke up the next morning and I couldn't move my arm. And immediately you might think, obviously with me telling this story, you would think, okay, Krishna, go straight to the hospital. But in that moment, I'm like, oh, it's just soreness. It's nothing that's that bad. Let me go into work. Let me stretch it out a little bit. So I'm continuing to stretch it out a little bit. It's not really stretching out a little bit. So I wake up the next morning, it's just as stiff, or if anything, it felt a little bit worse. But I still went into work, obviously. I told someone this story recently. They're just like, so you just went into work? I'm like, you know, when you have a lot of things going on, you tend to not focus on yourself. Don't look at me that way, okay? Don't judge me. I know that you do it too. When I was at work, I texted my boss and I'm like, hey, I should probably go check this out. Is that okay? And she let me go home. And I went home. I sat down. And I was just like, do I really need to leave? I could just worry about this another day. But thankfully, I went to the hospital. They took some tests and the doctor came back and he's looking like straight face at me. And I'm just like, hey, is everything okay? He looks at me and he's just like, you tore a muscle. The enzymes are going into your kidney and you're going into organ failure. He didn't smile like that at all. And I was just like, he's like, yeah, we're going to have to admit you. And I'm like, eh? He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to keep you in the hospital. And I'm like, what? I spent 5 days in the hospital. And you know, the one thing that I needed that they were pumping me with was water because I was severely dehydrated. I was doing all this stuff. For one, we already know I was not eating properly, but I was not drinking enough water. And that brought me to getting hospitalized for 5 days. I had to beg the doctor. You have no idea. I had to beg the doctor because on the 5th day, my levels were still going up. They were not stabilizing. And I told him, I'm like, please let me go home. I will drink water. I will drink as much water as I possibly need. I'll go beyond that if you just let me go home. And he's like, fine. But if anything happens, we're going to have to bring you back. And I'm just like, I will drink enough water. And so when I got home and I went back to work, I started reminding everyone in the office to start drinking water. And then everyone in the office was just like, oh my gosh, Krishna, like I'm starting to feel great. Like I have a lot more energy. Like this is so crazy. Like just by drinking more water. I'm like, I know. I don't want you going into the hospital. And from that experience and seeing how much it's helped other people in my office, then I started going on social media and I started reminding people to drink water. And I started getting so many DMs like, thank you for doing this. I was like serious about it. Right now, I'm not posting as much as I did, but like I was posting on my story like 3 times a day, like, hey, did you hit your water goal? Where are you at? I was like, are you happy? Hydrated? That's why when you see my posts, you might see at the end, PS, go drink some water, please, because no one needs to experience what I experienced. And I'm 100% going to make a video on my full water story while I was in the hospital because I did actually end up recording a good chunk of it. They just up the liquids. Yo, let's do this thing going. If you'd actually like me to post it, comment below and let me know. I would love to hear like who would actually want to hear the full water story. But the story doesn't end there. So I started drinking more water and then the pandemic hit, literally like shortly after. It was like one event, one after another was happening to me. Like it just felt like things were just piling on. So the pandemic happened and I was actually a little excited because that meant for my full-time job, I didn't have to commute into work. I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be great. You know, what I did for work was I found people jobs. So I was working as a full-time recruiter, which is great. I made people happy. But during a pandemic, I don't know if you remember, but a lot of people lost their jobs. And I had to be one of those people to call and let women know that they can't support their family during a pandemic. Normally, when I'm calling someone, letting them know that they lost a job, I could be like, I'll let you know if there's something else that comes up and I connect you. You know, it's fine. But this time was different. And I had people texting me, calling me, emailing me, like, Krishna, please find find me something I need to support my family, and I couldn't give them anything. And I took all of their emotions and I internalized it to a severe amount. I remember at this time was when I shared a room with my sister. We had like double beds, and I had a wall right where my bed was posted, and I had my laptop on my lap, and I would just sit my back against the wall and just type away to work. I have literally no recollection of what life looked like at that moment because I got so depressed. You might not know me, but I'm not somebody that digs that deep into their depression. I 100% have anxiety. Ooh, I 100% get depressed, of course, but I have never been in that length of a depression where there were more down days than there were happy days. And I stopped taking care of myself. I stopped drinking water. I stopped reminding people to drink water. I deleted my social media. This is also when Black Lives Matter was happening. I couldn't handle any of it. I stopped eating, and I stopped being the person that motivated everyone. And the thing is that I just stopped taking care of myself, and I started seeing my body change because of it. So that made it a million times worse. When I would get up and I would feel weak, I would look in the mirror and I would be I just wasn't happy with I wasn't happy with life. I really wasn't. I was looking back on everything and I'm like, I don't want to be here. This went on for at least 3 months until I just listened to this one podcast. Like everything before this podcast was like a blur. And it was very timely because it's one of those episodes that weren't made at that time, but they said that this message is still something that can be effective, especially during this situation of the pandemic. And the words that stood out was focus on what you can control. I have never heard that before because in that time, there was a lot that I felt like I could not control. I'm going to talk through this. Hopefully you're okay with this. And my voice is probably going to crack a little bit, and I'll probably grab some water as I'm going through this as well too. Hopefully you're okay with that. You don't really have a choice. I'm adding like the little humor in there so that hopefully it brings me back a little bit, changes my state. I heard him say, focus on what you can control. So I started looking at my life as just those small bits, whatever it possibly can be, even if it's the smallest little thing of just moving my toes. That could be something different because I'm actually feeling my body at least a little bit differently. And so I started slowly but surely getting closer and closer to self. I went back on social media. I created a video. If you actually scroll deep down on my Instagram, you'll find me in this like pink sweater, and I'm just like, hey guys, I was gone for a while. I'm back. If you cared. A lot of people reached out to me telling me how much they appreciated that video because they were feeling that exact same way, and how much it helped them to know that there was somebody that was struggling or that made it out. And that made me realize like I'm not the only person that was going through that, and I don't want people to continue going through that. So I thought, and I was like, clearly what I'm doing right now is not helping. So what's something that I know that I actually enjoy doing that can also help other people during this time? And so I looked back on the time where I was getting charged like $11 an hour. Keep in mind, one of these people, I was driving like half to the opposite side of Brampton. I was losing money trading, but I loved it. I actually really liked it. And so I decided, you know what? We're going to change. We're going to do something different. And so I took this photo. I decided I was going to go all in on that, but I didn't know how. And I knew that before I could do that, I kind of need to get myself back to where I need to be. And so I decided to take a progress photo and say that this is the day everything changes. So I put on a dress that I loved. And as I started putting it on, I started feeling, oh no, our body has really changed. This is not fitting the way that it used to fit. So getting it on was already making me feel like I wanted to go back to what I was feeling on that bed and just sitting there with my back against the wall. And then I took a photo of myself in that dress and I was like, oh yeah, our body really changed. And so I decided, again, we're gonna make a change, but did I do anything that was a change? What did I do? Because keep in mind, my understanding of what you should be eating was still back at that keto that I didn't know was keto. So I started doing like intermittent fasting. I started doing all those diets. Did it help? No, not at all. And so I started looking for more. And I found that more, which required more of me, more of my pockets, a lot more. But of course, if you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. And usually if you want something, you can't take it for nothing, such as life. And you know what? When you become more okay with that, you realize how much positive things come your way and you're in the space to receive. And so I invested in a business coach and a nutrition institute. One thing I heard someone tell me that I take with me every single day, if there's one thing that Krishna will do, it's invest. My first investment was the scariest thing of my life. I went all in because I knew like I was not happy with my life anymore. And so I saw my bank account tank. Tank. And it was the scariest decision of my whole entire life. But then that ended up becoming the best decision of my whole entire life, because that completely shook my world and made me realize I have to do this now, because it's now or never. What other option do I have? And I think that's sometimes what you need when you decide that you actually want true change. And so I started learning about the metabolism. I started learning about hormonal health. I started learning about the gut connection. I know it's not the most sexiest part about a journey, but when you get that stuff good and you don't have to deal with your bloating, woo! But I started learning about all that stuff. And then I started applying it to myself. And I started seeing the changes, not just physically, but mentally. My energy was different. The way that I think is different. I was happier. And I was doing all of this without restricting myself with food. I found myself having the energy to go to the gym. I felt myself wanting to actually do things and live life. And it didn't feel like I was forcing myself to do things. And I was like, I need to teach this to everybody else. And I told everyone, like, I am actually open to taking on more clients. And literally everybody rushed through. It was kind of like, it was kind of like everyone was just like, finally, we've been telling you to take this serious for years. And I get it, because you probably have something that you know, like your friends have been telling you consistently, like you should start this business, you should do this, you should talk about this. And you're like, I'll get to it when I can. Do it, because everybody's been waiting for you to do it. The people around you sometimes know you a little bit more than you know yourself, because you more so focus on the external things when there are the internal things that someone sees that you love, that brings your inner child out. And once you really focus on that thing, life becomes a little bit easier. And so I did. And everyone's just like, finally. And I was just like, all right, guys, take me. So I started taking all that information because everybody is different. I grew up understanding that you should be on meal plans, that you should be doing high intensity, that you should be working out every single day, that you should be sweating like crazy in order to say that you have done a good job. And it's really the complete opposite. So I started taking all that information and piecing it together. And then I started creating a system where I know exactly who, if they were to apply this and we were to literally just tweak certain things, because everyone's life is different, then I will be able to get them this specific result. And so I started doing this over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. I started getting people that wanted to help me show people how to do this over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Now, somehow, I grew a following of over 400,000 women at this moment on all of our social media pages. We have a beautiful Facebook community of over 7,000 women, and we've been able to help hundreds of women be able to say, I am never dieting again. I am able to look in the mirror and be happy with my life. I can run around with my kids. I can walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. I am traveling and not thinking about food. I'm thinking about how I get to enjoy this space and enjoy this time. I am looking at the scale and it's not dictating my feelings or my emotions. I am fitting comfortably in a crop top. I'm wearing a crop top when I go outside in the summer. I'm not hiding myself in long sleeves and track pants and yoga pants in the summer. I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing a dress. I'm letting my arms out. These are the amazing things that I get to hear every single day from women. Like, I get messages like, I can eat bread and I'm seeing the results that I want. I am more relaxed. I'm having better relationships with my friends and my family and my partner. I feel happier. You have changed my trajectory of life. And it's because, like, bro, I didn't know what my trajectory of life was going to be at some point. I didn't. And when I started getting healthier and realizing what health actually means and how it actually feels, I want every single person to be able to experience that. That's my goal and my intention for this, is to have a platform where I can speak to you directly and feel like every single video is helping you in some certain way. So the way that I would love for this space, this YouTube space to be, is going to be where you can go on a video, see what the title is, and know that you're going to get exactly what you desire to get from it. And if there's one piece of advice that I can tell you, is to focus on your desire. I know you've been doing this for years. I know that you've been trying this your whole entire life. Don't ever stop. As soon as you quit, that is when you fail. If you feel like you have tried everything, I promise you, if you did, you would be where you want to be. Keep trying, and not even trying, because we all know how I feel about the word try. Keep doing. And I appreciate you for taking the time to even just listen to this. So I would love to know, where did you even come across me? What are the things that you want to learn from this channel, from this platform? Because this platform is meant to serve you, and I'm just meant to be that vessel and that guide that's going to get you to your end goal. So welcome. We did it!